Alrighty. Good evening, good morning, good night, good afternoon, whatever time of day it may be while you are listening to this. Welcome to the cellblock Scorch. It is week 99A. So, I am going to, for once in my life, talk a bit about this Scorch of mine before I read it. I usually like just talking about it after. And I will talk more about it after, but this is a little fanfic AU that I wrote about the Legend trilogy, and it kind of summarizes a lot of the plot points of this trilogy. It's like 3 pages at most, I think. So it's only 2 pages. So it's really not obviously getting at everything that's covered in the whole book series, but there is a lot of spoilers. So if on the off chance you were planning on reading the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu, read it before you listen to this. Don't listen to this. However, I understand that's probably not where anyone's at. And hopefully this little fic of mine can convince you to go read it, because it is one of the best book series. I don't feel like it is very, I read it in high school. I haven't reread it since. So it has been like 10 years at this point of me having read it. Oh, that's where I wanted to start. Hi, it's my first official Scorch W. This is, wow, that's crazy. I'm all over the place. I should have written this stuff down before I started. Oh, well, we go. Yeah, so this is week 99. This was my second week in the Scorch. It was during COVID. It was kind of a terrible time, kind of a fun time. I had just got back to the States from my time that I spent living in Peru. I was living at my aunt and uncle's along with some of my other cousins and my sister, as they were all in between breaks. It was, school semester had ended because of COVID a little bit, and also I think it had just regularly ended. It was summer. We were all chilling in quarantine together. It was a grand old time, and that was 5 years ago. Very happy to be here, back at revisiting my first W in the Scorch. So, wow, 5 years. It's crazy. Okay, nostalgia done with. Back to talking about my Scorch. Legend trilogy by Marie Lu. It's a very cool sci-fi, little bit post-apocalyptic trilogy that is just super well written. And so from what I remember reading it now 10 years ago, approximately, I don't remember exactly what grade I was in, but I know it was high school. About 10 years ago reading it, it's just good. I don't remember there being really any plot holes, any like things that really caught my attention in a, like, from a writing perspective. Like, it's so good. In case you can't tell from my just kind of rambling, I highly recommend it. It is a very good series, very good trilogy. If you haven't heard of it, if you haven't read it, definitely do read it. If you have heard of it, if you plan on reading it in the near future, stop listening now, tune back in next week, come back, save this episode, come back to it after you've read the series. You've been warned. So, yeah, we'll jump into the Scorch now. My piece is titled Parting Ways. This prompt was given by Peishi, and the prompt is provoke the higher-ups or become them. There's really no other way. Daniel was done running. He arrived at the warehouse that he had searched for so long, first with the intent of destroying it, but now he needed protection and was ready to help. 4 years ago, he had aced the entrance exam into the military academy. The best score in history, except for one girl. She was the daughter of a high-ranking general, so it was expected that she would get a good score. But a perfect score? That was unheard of. And this year there were two who broke that precedent. June Aparis and Daniel Wing. Unlike June, Daniel came from a poor family, but his perfect score could not go unnoticed, and they brought him into the academy knowing he would be the brightest cadet other than June. That year was a blur of fiery competition between the two prodigies, but it naturally led to their falling in love. It was a long time ago, though. The last year had proved harder than he would have thought, and things were different now. They had completed the academy training together and entered officially into the Dominion's Special Forces, and quickly gained command of their own platoon. June's familiarity with the military naturally gave her an edge, even after 3 years in the academy, so she was always just ahead of Daniel. He'd learned to accept that, though, and they supported each other no matter what. Her achievements made him happy just as his advances made her happy. They loved each other and had often talked in those 3 years about the future of the Dominion, but more importantly, their future. Regrettably, one price that must be paid for gaining knowledge is the loss of one's ignorant bliss. As they progressed together, they also learned more and more of the wicked ways of the Dominion. As their 1-year mark of service got closer and closer, Daniel became more uneasy with the new information he was learning. June was his general, and he was her second in command, and they were privy to much more than academy cadets now. It was as they passed the year mark that Daniel finally had laid upon him the straw that broke his back. Except this straw was more like a lead pipe that he'd repeatedly been beaten with. They had learned 3 months ago that the death of June's brother their second year at the academy was not in fact an act of terrorism, but rather part of a cover-up as Matthias began to fight against the unjust actions of the Dominion. But June continued, almost unaffected by sheer force of will. In front of the troops, the captains, and other officers, one could never tell the difference. Daniel had a different level of trust, though. And he knew how that knowledge reopened the wound that had almost healed. She came to his room at the end of the night and sat in his arms, crying the day they learned. Once she calmed down, he asked her what she wanted to do. "We have to change it," she replied. "This can't be the way the Dominion does things if we want to win the war and restore the United States as your father desired." She fiddled with the metal disc he had hanging on a necklace that they both knew hid a quarter from 200 years ago when it wasn't the Dominion and the Confederacy on this continent. "There's no better place than where we are to change that, Daniel. So we'll stay." And they did. She would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and immediately call him. Every time he raced to her room and sat on her bed holding her, calming her. It was that way for almost 2 months. Then the second beatdown from that lead pipe came. Daniel's father had died of a sickness 10 years ago, leaving Daniel's mother with 3 young boys and not many options. But she did her best. Daniel's older brother John had been working at a factory due to his own score on the test to help their family before Daniel had taken the exam and later entered the military. Now, Daniel was in a situation to help his mom and two brothers, but he had to leave. His father had been investigating the viruses that killed swaths of people in the slums each year with no effect on the people in the rich parts of LA. He had discovered that the viruses were made by the government to fight against the Confederacy, and each year they were tested in the slums. The Dominion silenced him before he could make it known to the public, killing him with the newest virus strain. When Day and June found out, he stormed out of the room, running to his private apartment. June calmly excused herself and followed him. "Those bastards!" June heard him scream from down the hall. She entered his room. "Daniel, please calm down," she urged. "Calm down?" he cried in disbelief. "They murdered your brother, and now we know they did the same to my father. Don't expect me to calm down." He was swathed with rage, an aura present in the room. "Please, Daniel," she said softly, cupping his face in her hands. "This is where we need to be so that no one else will get hurt this way. We need to gain rank to change this." "No," he said, his voice like steel as he brushed her off. "Maybe you can keep working here for this filth that has killed our families, but I can't." His voice left no room for question. "I'm done. I'm going to find the resistance and help them overthrow those bastards who don't give a damn about the people they're supposed to protect." His breathing was heavy, his heart pounding in his chest, and his face red with anger. "Daniel," she said softly, reaching for him. "You can come with me, June, or you can stay. But don't give a single thought about stopping me." "I can't go with you, Daniel, but I won't stop you. Just promise me when all this is over, you'll come back and find me." Daniel saw her eyes watering, sincerely pleading to him. "I need you. I will come back, June, as soon as I can, but I can't stay." His eyes filled just as hers had, and his heart ached from knowing the pain this caused her. "I'm sorry, June. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry. I can't do this anymore. Not this way." And that was the last time he'd seen her. She helped him pack his necessities and get out of LA. And it had now been 3.5 months since he'd seen her. And now he had finally made it, and he had his entry. He was officially an outlaw.
Hey, it's Paisley with Judge Comments. This week I had received 3 submissions from Lost, Octo, and of course Rev, which you just heard. They were all short and sweet this week, which was fun. I think the reason that I chose Rev's is because it had more emotional pull. A lot of the time when I read not just for plot or for world building or for character, but to feel with the characters. And I think Rev's had more emotional cues, and I liked that. So that's what informed my judging this week. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Keep those fires burning, y'all.
Okay, wow. So a couple things. Daniel in the book series goes by the nickname Day, and when I wrote this, I did not actually explain that in the writing. During the 3rd paragraph, I started calling Daniel Day as he's nicknamed in the book, and as I was reading it, I didn't like how that felt from a writing perspective, and that's why you'll hear me, you heard me stopping on around Day and tripping over and correcting to Daniel. I did not do a pre-read because I'm a lazy schmuck. Now that you've had all the spoilers, let me just explain a little bit about what's actually going on. Maybe I should have explained beforehand. I don't know. We're doing it this way, though. So, in the Legend series, like I said, it's kind of a post-apocalyptic world. There's been some pretty major catastrophes, and the main point is that the United States, as I'm sure you gleaned from the story, is no longer the United States. It's been split into two countries, the Confederacy in the East and the Dominion in the West. The main thing, because if you go to read it now, you might be able to figure this out from how my story is told. Day does have a perfect score in the book. He does not get into the military academy, though. They hide his score, they cover it up, and they officially, he has one of the lowest scores on record, if not just the lowest score. I want to say the test is out of 1,500, and Day's score on the record was like sub 500. It's like 494 or something, which is just abysmally low, unheard of low type deal. And it was just because they, the test takers had an agenda, and they had I don't remember if it had anything to do with Day's father, or if it was just about upholding the class structure. You can read and find that out for yourself. Point being, they very much did hide his score, and he did not go to the military academy. He instead found himself just kind of acting as an outlaw. He was a wanted criminal at the start, just kind of slumming it around. So that's other than that, I don't remember how much I fact checked this or just worked off memory. But basically everything that is mentioned is canon to the story. As just that Legend is a very well written book, like I mentioned before, and well written stories generally, I think, don't work for like becoming super popular in fanfic, just because something that drives a lot of fanfic creation is the way that a story has a really solid like skeleton, a really solid foundation, but then the execution, or the story that ends up around that skeleton isn't up to snuff. And Legend isn't like that. I haven't checked AO3 recently, but there is not a whole lot of Legend fic compared to other fandoms, and that might just be due to the size of the fandom itself, that it doesn't have as much of a following, that it's not as popular as mainstream a book series. But also it's just, you don't need to do a lot with it. The relationships are very well written, the plot is very well written, there's no need for any kind of fix-it fic. But, and this is the angle obviously that I went at, there is a very interesting rewrite that could be done where Daniel gets in to the military academy, where his score isn't hidden, where there is no cover up, no agenda pushing by the military in that instance. And so even if it's just briefly for 2 pages, I kind of wanted to explore what that might look like. You can go find this piece on my AO3 Rev writes. It's, again, called Parting Ways. It's just this piece. I've thought about maybe trying to flesh this out as a more full story, and I would have to do that after rereading the series, but for now it is just this little standalone kind of teaser concept. I was really happy with how this piece turned out. Again, really love this series. Highly recommend it. You should all go read the Legend series by Marie Lu. So I will stop my rambling there and share the prompt that I gave for week 100. I hear things at night. They crawl along the pillows and into my ears. I have no idea where this came from. I don't think I usually prompt like that. And I'm baffled. I'm so excited to revisit what the pieces for this prompt were, because I sincerely cannot think of what they are. But I am 100% certain that y'all are in for a treat when you do hear the piece for this prompt. Thank you again so much for being here with us. Have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, afternoon, whatever it may be. Have a great week and keep that fire burning.
The cellblock Scorch is a production of Stellacore, an independent group of nerds sharing their obsessions with the world. Links to all our projects, including Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, Patreon, and Ko-Fi, can be found on our link tree, posted in each episode description. Follow us on Tumblr or Instagram to see the prompt of the day before the episode drops, and a quote from each Scorch the day after. If you would like to support our creative endeavors, you can give a one-time tip to the Ko-Fi of the writer of your favorite Scorches, or check out our Patreon. There, you can access the Scorches and episode transcripts for free, or sign up for Spark level support for $5 a month to gain access to our embers as well.